Okay, so after the digital marketing call, you now need to know how to put together a digital marketing quote. The reason for this is that invariably you're going to need to go away and do research, and by bringing that in together with a document which outlines what you can do and the amount it costs, forms a really nice document which the client can subsequently look over. Now, the easiest thing before we go into any of the more details is to make sure that you download the example digital marketing quote that I have put on the link. This is something which I've been sort of working on over the past couple of years, and there's a few sort of like nuances to it because I wanted to explain exactly why it is put together in the way it is. So once you've opened it up, you'll see it's not the most interesting of looking documents, to be honest. It's one of those things where if you need to, you can go away and do it in presentation, but this is just a fast, efficient document which kind of clearly outlines all the key elements of what you can provide with regards to a digital marketing service. So starting from the top, the details I include are a really sort of broad overview as to the digital marketing service or services that a client is interested in. Now, that might be because they're interested in those services, or they are the services which I would recommend to them if they're not quite sure about the thing that they should be doing. The reason for this is that what you may say to them on the call, the person is quite likely to forget. And also because even if that person does recall and understands what it is about, say, SEO or PPC or email marketing, this document is likely to also need to be reviewed and signed off on by other people in the business, especially if it is a larger organization. Those people might have no knowledge whatsoever about what PPC is or what conversion rate optimization is. So this first stage literally takes you through a what is this service and what does it do? Next, it breaks it down into the advantages and disadvantages of that given service. Now, it probably seems a bit weird to me including the disadvantages of something which you're trying to sell to people, but at this stage it is all about setting expectations with that client. Depending on the different activity that you are looking to recommend to that client, some of them can take a very long period of time, some of them can be very expensive, and some of them can just require a lot of effort up front before you see results. Now, every potential client is going to be in a bit of a different position. Some of them will be expecting results overnight. Some of them might be fully aware that it's going to take a long period of time, but it is very good to outline the advantages and the disadvantages of something so that when hopefully they agree to do something with you, they're not going to be coming back to you in say 1 or 2 weeks time and going, well, you know, you've done your digital marketing, well, why hasn't it yielded the results? This is all about setting things up correctly so that you can have a good relationship going forward. So always make sure that you identify the advantages and the disadvantages with whatever tactic you are recommending. Now, the next section looks at the specific nuances of what that client is looking for. The other areas can be left quite generic and you can use them again for future quotes, but the section in the middle is always highly personalised. The reason being is this is the research I have gone out and done in order to be able to understand what it is the client is asking of me. With any client, you need to get an understanding of what they are currently doing and also the competition that is going on in the market, particularly with things like SEO. Now, this isn't just useful information for the client to know, this is actually helping to really structure what it is you're going to be doing for them. So if a client came along and said that they want to set up and run a social media channel in a really competitive market space, just say like women's fashion, then you know that you're going to have to invest more time into getting that up and running than say another client that comes along and already has a really established channel. Essentially, this is the bit that shows you're working as you would in an exam to explain the details as to, okay, well, if you want this is where we are currently at. That area is going to differ for every client and every digital marketing channel. So as long as you can include some data and some understanding about who the client is and where they are currently at, that will be really useful in demonstrating that you have spent the time trying to understand their business and understand where they are in the marketplace. So going down a bit further, I then go into more detail about actually what the service will be like. This is essentially a watered down version of an SLA or a service level agreement. This just sets up front to the client what you will be doing for them and almost what you won't be doing for them. First of all, it establishes the things that we're going to be using to measure the success of whatever it is we're doing. Now, that can be anything, but ultimately you will get a feel with time as to what things you should measure and shouldn't measure. If we were to use the example again of of your social media client in the fashion industry, the things that you might be measuring are the number of likes you're getting, the level of reach that the posts are achieving, or the number of click-throughs to the website. Or that's also really important to set up front, because you don't want a client to turn around and go, yes, but you're doing this, but I actually wanted this as a result. Then just below that, it breaks it down into what the monthly schedule looks like for a client. Now, with each of my clients, I work on a monthly basis with pretty much all of them. If it's a project, I will just send over a quick email quote. I won't go into this level of depth. But because the relationship that you have with a potential client can last for such a long period of time, it's really important to set up front what it is you're going to be doing on a monthly basis. So with all my clients, and we'll go into more detail about sort of how this actually works, I will send across a report at the start of the month, which outlines what it is we're going to be doing alongside with kind of key metrics based on those results. At the end of the month, we'll arrange a call together so that we can go through actually what has been worked on and answer any questions. Mid-month, we will do the work, and then I also make a point of saying that I'm also around for any calls and questions as well. Most of the time, very few clients do actually contact me with additional stuff. They just sort of want me to get on with it, but it's quite a nice little feature just to have them there, because you don't want them to think that, they just can't talk to you. You get a lot of valuable information out from just spontaneously talking to them and emailing them, and subsequently they build up a better relationship with you as well. So it's useful to include. Then coming to the end of the document, this is where you need to outline your pricing. Now, it's far better to be specific with this than just a broad, it's going to cost this much for some work. Now, with the quotes that I put together, I also make a point of including other prices which they as a business are going to have to factor in as well. So for example, if I was running a social media campaign for them, I'm going to need budget to be able to do that, as much as being able to pay me for my time. So they can see overall how much it's actually going to cost. How you charge that is based obviously on the pricing that you have decided upon, but put those down on a bullet point fashion and then subsequently tot up the total at the end. It's also really worth, if you can, including a line in there about the minimum terms that you'd be working together for. Most digital marketing activities aren't going to be an overnight success, especially working on a monthly basis. You want to ensure you haven't gone to all this effort just to win 4 weeks worth of work. Ideally, you want months and years potentially if the client is a right fit for you. So I also make a point of making sure that within that document, there's just a little stipulation that says, look, we need to do this for 3 months to get going. For them, it sets out their expectations for how long they're going to need to be paying money for, and for you it gives you the breathing space that you will need in order to be able to start seeing results for the majority of digital marketing activities. Once you finish that document off, wrap it up in an email and put together just a short few lines that you want to send across to them, thanking them again for their time off the back of the call that you previously had, and explaining to them that the details of their digital marketing quote are included in it. Now, the really important point with this is to basically make sure that this is not a dead end. Within that email, you also want to include a line that says, I want to take you through this document on another call. Can we do insert your next time? Now, first of all, that sets a time limit of when you'd expect them to respond by, and subsequently, and we'll go through this in the next lesson, is taking them through that call helps them to explain any nuances which they might not be sure about or answer any questions. It helps build up that relationship and trust, and at that point, then subsequently, you should be able to get a definitive answer as to whether or not they're going to work with you. So that covers off the quote document. Have a look through that. This isn't a hard and fast rule, but if you feel that you need a document to send across to them, then this is why I've put together all those details in one place so that the client can have all the information they need in order to be able to make an informed decision about whether or not you are the right person for the job.